You should know when a movie on vampires or Betal releases three item songs as its marketing campaign, something is fishy. This shows the makers are not confident on their product or they wanted to capitalize like Aaj Ki Raat by Tamanna Bhatia from Stree 2. Side note, I read a very funny comment that if Maddock Cinematic Universe goes like this, they will soon be called as Mujra Havasi Cinematic Universe. Khair. So, Thamma is much anticipated movie from the Maddock Horror Cinematic Universe featuring Ayushmann, Rashmika, Nawaz and Paresh Rawal, slated to be the highest budget film of the Maddock Cinematic Universe and Ayushmann's career. So, the story is of Alok, played by Ayushmann, who fell in love with Rashmika, who is a Betal. How he was turned to one and the drama that unfolds for all these madness falls into the Maddock Horror Cinematic Universe forms the basic storyline. Now, let's dive into what was my general opinion about the film. Acting. Ayushmann Khurrana. To be honest, he was decent in this film because it was nothing new in his character. You could feel he has played the similar role in his earlier films and he has mastered it, so he has nothing new to offer. So he kind of sleepwalked through the film. Paresh Rawal, the best performance of the film, no doubt. With his limited screen time and not so friendly script for his character, he still was able to draw the laughs with his performance. I may confess, he was given some not so funny lines and situations, but it was his delivery and experience which made it worth it. He even pulled one brief emotional scene with Ayushmann with such conviction that it was refreshing and totally set the mood for the forthcoming event in the storyline. Rashmika Mandana. Oh, I have a lot to say. Rashmika was clearly struggling with her dialogue delivery. If you notice, she is trying to enunciate every word which feels little odd and out of place with her South Indian accent. Even Vijay Sethupathi and Katrina had the same problem, which is why the makers used to justify that accent by making their characters coming from the South or European origin to suit their need. But here, it feels weird. Also, we talk about male gaze in films. This was another example because it was as if the makers wanted you to look at her cleavage rather than her face in many of the shots. She was so scantily dressed. It was as if the designers were instructed to make her Zinataman from Satyam Sivam Sundaram. Not a compliment because it made her look out of place even from her Kabila members. Nawazuddin. I felt he was barely there and kind of wasted. His English dialogues were funny at first, but too much stretched at the end. Irrespective of what Nawaz used to say about the mass masala films, unhinged Nawaz would be so entertaining to watch. We know what he did with Kick, so hopefully they use him well in the future. Comedy. It was kind of a mixed bag for me. Some of it were funny and entertaining, but they overdid with the meme reference, and it was not as funny as they would have intended to it because a meme has shelf life, which is very short, and when a movie releases after so many years, it is already outdated. These kind of meme reference jokes work in videos of TVF or in YouTube skit videos because it used to release during the hype of that meme. So, when the dialogue of Lappusa Sachin becomes Lappusa Alok, Jingo Jaisa Hai, the nostalgia of that joke is already gone. Also, there is a particular scene where the Betals call another Betal to show their identity with some kind of dialogue. I mean, which is supposed to be serious, but I guess it was unintentionally so funny. Here, in spite of being an hit and a miss, it will be just about enough to enjoy with your friends. Story. The film had a lot of potential in its folklore, but like Munjia, I felt they intentionally didn't go more dark for the sake of getting a large audience. But that is where Niren Bhatt, the writer of the film, also Munjia and Sritu, might be getting exposed because he sets the world very well, but slowly the story turns predictable with convenient plot lines. But the most important aspect is the horror element of this universe is getting replaced by comedy. They are so missing the pair of Raj and DK, who brilliantly set up the first film, Stree, with its horror and comedy elements, which was so balanced and new at the time. Now, the writers are trying to emulate that, but not at the level of writing by them matches Raj and DK's. Director Aditya Sarpodar, who was given the biggest Madhouse Horror Cinematic Universe project till date, could not fully grasp the opportunity, but he did a terrific job in setting up the upcoming films of the universe because there are few films which integrates the cameos so well and effortlessly. It will be a major factor because it will pique your interest as a particular cameo is so well assimilated, you will be eagerly waiting for that future film that it sets up. But having said that, this film had many side characters which were not utilized properly and conveniently used three item songs. But that is not the problem. The problem was the songs were not that great and it was forgetful. VFX and cinematography. With its allocated budget, they have done a really great job with the VFX and cinematography, as it sets up the look and feel of the movie so well that you are totally hooked to it visually, be it the bear scene or the fight after the interval, which will be a great surprise as how well they have managed. Overall, the film with its hits and misses is an average affair and could be watched for its comedy and setting up of the universe.